The rain drummed relentlessly on the window of the cozy suburban home in New York as Emily wrapped up her dinner preparations. The aroma of freshly baked lasagna wafted through the warm and inviting home, creating a sense of comfort and nostalgia. As she cast her eyes toward the clock on the wall, a wave of tension gripped her heart. The clock had struck 9, and still, there was no sign of Richard Lancaster, her husband, returning home. Richard had always been a man of great aspirations, resolute in his quest to leave his mark on the world. In the beginning, he was a young man with a modest upbringing, brimming with aspirations. In the midst of Emily's days spent at the coffee shop where she toiled to support her ailing mother, a beautiful romance blossomed. Despite their financial struggles, their hearts were full, and happiness enveloped them like a warm embrace. Emily was convinced that their bond could weather any storm that came their way. As time went by, Richard's journey in his profession started to soar. His knack for entrepreneurship inspired him to launch an investment firm, and as the years passed, his wealth soared to new heights. Emily had consistently stood by him, championing his choices and putting her own aspirations on hold to ensure his triumph. As Richard's wealth increased, so too did the chasm between him and those around him. In recent weeks, he had been distant and unapproachable. He lingered on the phone for what felt like an eternity, slipped out of the house without a word about his destination, and upon his return, he couldn't meet Emily's eyes. In the quiet corners of her mind, an unsettling truth lingered, whispering that all was not as it seemed. As the hours stretched on that night, Emily's anticipation grew until she finally caught the familiar jingle of keys at the door. Her heart raced with anticipation. She hurried into the living room and caught sight of Richard entering, weary yet betraying no hint of remorse. "Once more you've kept me waiting," she remarked, striving to mask the turmoil in her tone. Richard let out a deep breath, easing the grip of his tie. "Once upon a time, there was a significant gathering that held great importance. You're familiar with the nature of my work, Emily." She bit her lip, struggling to keep her emotions in check. "Richard, I'm eager to grasp the situation better. What tales are unfolding for us? Your gaze hardly meets mine. It feels like we rarely share our thoughts with each other. There was a time when our bond felt unbreakable." He turned away, making his way to the bar, where he filled a glass with whiskey. "Everything evolves, Emily. I transformed." Those words cut through her soul with the precision of a finely honed weapon. Once upon a time, there was a person who held the power to weave tales that captivated hearts and minds. "It seems you've crossed paths with another, haven't you?" Her voice quivered with emotion. Richard paused, his silence stretching out before him, before finally releasing a frustrated sigh. "Emily, I want to be honest with you. Indeed, there is another presence." Her universe crumbled into fragments. "How could you betray me like this? I was there with you, sharing in every challenge we faced together. For you, Richard, I gave up it all." His eyes met hers, cold and unyielding. "I understand, and I appreciate all that has come my way. Yet I yearn for something greater. And you, my friend, well, that chapter has closed for you." His words struck with the force of a sudden blow. As Emily stood there, she sensed the earth slipping away from her, leaving her in a moment of uncertainty. "Who is she really?" she inquired, her voice quivering with emotion. With a thoughtful pause, Richard savored a sip of whiskey before responding. "A storyteller, Bella Devereaux, a name that carries with it a world of intrigue and adventure. She ignites a spark within me that I thought had long faded away." Emily sensed a bitter taste creeping up her throat. A storyteller? Absolutely. With newfound wealth in his pocket, he yearned to embark on an adventure alongside a captivating woman. "Is that all there is? Are you really going to discard me as if I never held any significance in your life?" Richard remained silent. With a purposeful stride, he made his way to the bedroom where a suitcase awaited him, ready and packed. Without a moment's hesitation, he moved toward the door, ready to embark on his next adventure. "I've come to a conclusion, Emily. Every journey deserves a companion who aligns with its path. And I'm worthy of someone who aligns with my narrative." As he stepped through, the door softly clicked shut, sealing off the world he was leaving behind. And with it, the tapestry of Emily's aspirations unraveled. In the days that followed, Emily found herself enveloped in disbelief. Once, the house was alive with laughter and warmth, but now it stood silent, echoing the memories of days gone by. The stillness was overwhelming. Newspapers and magazines quickly filled their pages with tales of Richard's new life alongside the breathtaking Bella. They graced extravagant gatherings, journeyed across the globe, and showcased their joy on social platforms. Friends we once shared began to distance themselves. Emily came to understand that with Richard's newfound wealth, she felt out of place in that realm. She attempted to forge ahead, yet the weight of her sorrow was overwhelming. As darkness enveloped her, she pondered the depths of Richard's affection. And while gazing at images of her former husband radiating joy with his new partner, a flicker of vengeance ignited within her. He had cast her aside. Yet, there would come a day when he would look back with a sense of remorse. The days unfolded slowly, each one blending into the next like a haunting tale that never seemed to end. Emily found herself unable to take a bite. Rest eluded me. Every corner of the house whispered tales of the man who once vowed his love for her. The couch that held countless movie nights filled with laughter and shared moments. The table where they gathered, sharing meals and weaving tales of joy and camaraderie. The bedroom where whispers of dreams once danced, now echoing with the weight of unfulfilled vows. It was a haunting collection of recollections. The experience was beyond what one could endure. The tabloids and gossip sites were abuzz with tales about them. Richard Lancaster and Bella Devereaux were the talk of the town. The model glided alongside the tycoon, a vision of elegance adorned in luxurious gowns and sparkling diamonds, her radiant joy casting a shadow over Emily's sorrow. She attempted to brush it aside, yet the visuals surrounded her relentlessly. The online world buzzed with harsh remarks suggesting that Bella was a step up for Richard, insinuating that Emily had never truly measured up to a man of his caliber. Then arrived the ultimate strike. 2 weeks later, Emily ventured out to the local market for groceries, her gaze fixed on the ground as she sought to evade the sympathetic looks and hushed comments around her. Yet, as she walked by a newsstand, a harsh headline caught her attention. Richard Lancaster concludes his journey through divorce. Model Bella Devereaux was seen showcasing a stunning engagement ring valued at $3 million. Emily felt a knot in her stomach. $3 million? What made it so painful? Money had always been irrelevant to her, yet the realization that Richard had chosen to purchase a multi-million-dollar ring for Bella while casting her aside like a forgotten weight struck her like a harsh, unforgiving blow. She turned into the nearest alley and broke down in tears. Yet within the sobs, a transformation began to unfold. It had transformed into something else entirely. It was a tempest of emotions. Emily wandered through her thoughts for days, weaving the fabric of her experiences into a tapestry of reflection. She had a choice before her, to remain trapped in her tears and despair, or to transform her anguish into something profoundly impactful. On a quiet evening, at the worn kitchen table, she grabbed a notepad and began to write. Each recollection, each act of devotion, each moment of shame Richard had subjected her to, and alongside them, a singular purpose. A tale of vengeance, but not the ordinary kind. She had no desire to cause him pain. She longed for Richard to experience the same anguish that had once consumed her. She was poised to unravel his very existence. Emily had always possessed a keen intellect. Before tying the knot, she envisioned a future where she thrived as a businesswoman. Yet, in her unwavering commitment to Richard, she sacrificed everything. Now it was time to craft the narrative of the woman she was destined to become. With the small amount of money she had remaining, Emily decided to take a leap and sign up for finance and investment courses. If Richard had risen to the heights of a tycoon, she could master the art of the same game. In the beginning, it was challenging. In a landscape where power and influence were often held by figures like Richard, the narrative of the business world unfolded with a distinct character. Conceited, merciless, and ready to overpower anyone perceived as vulnerable. But Emily had found her strength. She immersed herself in her studies, dedicating countless hours to understanding the intricacies of the financial market, investments, and business strategies. The wisdom Richard had dedicated years to gathering, she now possessed as well. She parted with the home that held their memories. The location of her betrayal would transform into her sanctuary. She seized the opportunity and poured her resources into launching her own consulting firm. She began her journey with a handful of women who, much like herself, had faced betrayal, abandonment, or a lack of recognition. Bit by bit, her tale began to spread. As the months rolled by, Emily began to see her efforts pay off financially. A significant amount of wealth. She discovered the art of engaging with investors, crafting agreements, and forging meaningful partnerships. At last, the moment she had long anticipated came to pass. She discovered that Richard was on a journey to expand his business, seeking new investors for an ambitious multi-million-dollar project. In that moment, Emily understood. The tale of her vengeance was only starting to unfold. It had been 2 long years since Richard Lancaster walked away from Emily. The delicate, shattered figure she used to be had transformed into a completely new person. Emily had transformed from the once devoted and submissive partner who had given up everything for a man who had cast her aside like a forgotten trinket. Absolutely not. In that moment, she radiated strength and influence. After years of dedication and tireless effort, her financial consulting firm had blossomed beyond expectations. Initially, she dedicated herself to supporting women who had experienced comparable challenges. Once let down, women find themselves seeking a new beginning. As her impact in the business realm grew, Emily discovered that there were even greater heights she could reach. She wove a tapestry of diverse investments, forged strategic alliances, and in under 2 years, she emerged as a formidable force in the financial market. Her name had earned its place among the esteemed circles where Richard navigated. But Emily had more to share. The moment had arrived for the decisive strike. Emily had a sense that Richard was on a journey of growth with his business. He dreamed of entering the tech realm, seeking influential backers to transform his vision into reality. His latest endeavor, Lancaster Innovations, called for a significant financial commitment. And that was the moment Emily recognized the ideal chance. With the connections she had forged throughout her travels, she subtly placed herself among those eager investors captivated by Richard's endeavor. Little did they know that Emily had a deeper connection with the man they were thinking of supporting than anyone else could imagine. Yet Emily was certain of one thing. Richard's journey was fueled by his relentless ambition. He was passionate about the game of business, but even more so, he thrived on the thrill of victory. Little did he know, the woman he had cast aside was on the verge of transforming into the fiercest adversary he could ever imagine. After months of watching the unfolding events, Emily finally achieved her goal, a meeting with Richard. But she wasn't going as the familiar Emily Lancaster. The name had faded into oblivion. Once upon a time, she transformed into Emily Carter, the CEO of a billion-dollar firm, becoming one of the most influential women in the world of finance. Upon hearing that the illustrious Emily Carter had taken an interest in his project, Richard felt a surge of excitement wash over him. He understood that gaining her support would pave the way for others to join in. Unbeknownst to him, Emily Carter was the very woman he had left behind without a moment's thought. On the night of the gathering, Emily selected her attire with meticulous care, donning a sleek black dress, perfect makeup, and a gaze that was both icy and strategic. She had transformed from the delicate partner who once wept in solitude within the confines of their home. As she stepped into the opulent restaurant, the air filled with anticipation. An assistant welcomed her warmly and guided her to the secluded table, setting the stage for what was to unfold. And then she laid her eyes upon him. Richard Lancaster remained a captivating figure, adorned in luxurious suits and sporting a self-assured grin. Yet there was a shift in him, a new chapter unfolding. Perhaps it was the passage of time, or perhaps it was the dawning awareness of a man beginning to understand that his empire was not as unshakable as it appeared. He rose to meet her, oblivious to the identity of the person standing in front of him. "Miss Carter, what a delight it is to finally make your acquaintance. I've heard many tales about you," Richard said, extending his hand. With a firm shake, Emily wore a smile that held untold secrets. "It is my utmost delight, Mr. Lancaster." Richard pulled out a chair for her, unaware that this moment would lead to the greatest challenge he would ever encounter. As dinner unfolded, Richard wove a narrative around his project, speaking with the assurance of someone who felt masterful in his command. He shared a captivating narrative about how Lancaster Innovations could transform the tech industry, hinting at extraordinary returns on investment. Emily leaned in, feigning awe as the tale unfolded. "What a captivating idea you have, Mr. Lancaster. I find great pleasure in exploring and supporting creative concepts. But share with me, what are the potential dangers at play?" she inquired, probing his thoughts. Richard beamed, his expression suggesting he had anticipated the question long before it was asked. "Very few. Naturally, this sector is filled with its fair share of obstacles. With the right investors on board, this endeavor is poised to become a remarkable success in the years ahead." Emily leaned in a bit, her gaze sharpening with curiosity. "Hardly any, you suggest? And what about the tales of your accumulated debts over the past few months? Or the significant contract that slipped through your fingers recently?" Richard blinked several times, taken by surprise. "What makes you aware of that?" With a warm smile, Emily savored her wine, letting the moment linger before she spoke. "Before I make any investments, I ensure I gather all the necessary information, Mr. Lancaster. It seems I have a deeper understanding of your company than you might expect." His expression revealed the mounting tension within him. However, that's not an issue. He attempted to wave it away. With the right investment, these small challenges will find their resolution. Emily reclined in her chair, her legs crossing with a graceful poise. Small obstacles. It feels like we're on the brink of a significant financial downturn. Richard's complexion drained of color. Could you elaborate on that? Emily gently set an envelope down on the table, a moment filled with unspoken possibilities. Within those pages lay a narrative of Richard's company's journey, chronicling each financial setback, every burden of debt, the missteps in strategy, and the gaps in budgeting. As he grasped the papers, his fingers danced across the pages, a sheen of sweat glistening on his brow. "What's the story behind this?" he inquired, disbelief evident in his voice. Emily tilted her head slightly, a smile gracing her lips. "I understand you, Richard. I understand your approach to conducting affairs. The patterns you follow, the areas where you falter. For years, I've delved into the intricacies of your ways." In that moment, Richard's gaze met hers, a gaze that held depth and understanding. And in that instant, a realization washed over him. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Emily. He breathed his name in a stunned hush. Her smile widened, reveling in the chaos reflected in his eyes. "Indeed, Richard, your ex-spouse, the one you discarded as if she held no value." Richard paused, his thoughts swirling as he tried to make sense of the unfolding events. Once upon a time, there was a person who held the power to captivate and engage others with their words. Their presence sparked curiosity and wonder, inviting everyone to listen closely to the tales that unfolded. Each narrative was a journey, filled with vivid characters and enchanting plots, drawing in the audience and leaving them eager for more. This individual had a unique ability to weave together experiences, creating a tapestry of imagination that resonated deeply with all who heard. Their stories were not just told, they were lived, felt, and cherished by those fortunate enough to be part of the experience. "You envisioned. What about this?" Emily leaned forward, her gaze sharp and piercing. "Absolutely not. You presented this to me with such grace and elegance. Your overconfidence has led you to this moment. Did you truly believe you could bring about my downfall without facing the repercussions? That I would remain in that house for eternity, weeping for you?" Richard took a deep breath. For the first time, he found himself adrift, no longer the master of his own fate. With a gentle rise, Emily reached for her purse, ready to embark on her next adventure. "I won't be putting my resources into you, Richard. Indeed, I will ensure that not a single serious investor considers your project worthy of their funds. Your company is destined for failure, and I'll be right there to witness the unfolding drama." She drew nearer and shared her secret in a hushed tone. "You showed me that the world is not designed for the faint-hearted. Now it's your moment to embrace that journey." And with that, she turned and left, leaving Richard behind, the shadows of despair creeping closer. Emily Carter's name was echoing through the corridors of the business realm. Once there was a woman left with nothing, her journey began 2 years ago. Ego had risen to become one of the most powerful figures in the investment landscape of the United States. Her ascent in the financial market was nothing short of extraordinary, yet it was far from mere chance. It was a carefully crafted plan. Emily embarked on a journey of knowledge, forging connections and nurturing relationships along the way. She forged a bond with the right. Investors crafted a remarkable legacy, earning the admiration and respect of those around them. In a world where Richard Lancaster basked in opulence, oblivious to the impending collapse of his empire, Emily quietly maneuvered in the shadows, biding her time for the ideal opportunity to upend his world. The time had come at last. Richard found himself in a challenging quest for investors to bring his vision of Lancaster innovations to life, navigating a financial landscape that was unforgiving. No one would put their trust in something uncertain, and Emily would ensure that uncertainty never found a place in their plans. With a network of allies at her disposal, she started to weave a narrative about the financial troubles facing Lancaster Innovations. She understood that Richard was submerged in concealed financial troubles, wagering all on uncertain hopes and depending solely on external backers to sustain his venture. In the realm of business, trust holds immense power, and Emily took great care to shatter his completely. In just a week, 3 of the leading investors Richard had been pursuing decided to withdraw from their agreements. Agreements he thought were secure suddenly disappeared. Whispers of uncertainty surrounded Lancaster Innovations as headlines emerged, probing its stability. Is this an exciting journey ahead or a fleeting illusion waiting to fade? Is the ruler of finance about to lose his throne? Richard was seething with anger. "Who's responsible for this?" he thundered at his legal team. Yet the evidence remained elusive. Emily moved with caution. She had a knack for weaving her way through this game in ways he could never have anticipated. And thus, the adventure had just begun. As Richard's company started to falter, Emily emerged into the public eye with undeniable vigor. She began sharing her journey, crafting a narrative that showcased her as a trailblazer, a pioneer in the realm of business. With each passing day, her name resonated more powerfully. Then arrived the most crushing setback for Richard. A renowned financial publication, Fortune Business, chose to spotlight two pivotal personalities in the industry in a special feature. Emily Carter, the trailblazer who transformed the landscape of women's investment. Richard Lancaster, a once mighty tycoon now facing a downward spiral. Emily's interview unfolded beautifully. Clad in a crisp white suit, she exuded confidence, her stance unwavering and her eyes keen, responding to each inquiry with grace. When inquired about Lancaster Innovations and its impending bankruptcy, she offered a faint smile and remarked, "There's always space for fresh ventures in the market, yet only those who are well prepared endure. There are those who think they can build a grand legacy on pride and hollow assurances, yet the passage of time inevitably uncovers the reality." The effect was felt right away. Whispers circulated in the corridors of commerce as Richard found himself under a cloud of doubt. What was once a formidable empire now appeared as a fragile structure, teetering on the brink of disintegration. And Emily observed the scene, relishing each instant as it played out before her. However, her journey was far from over. She longed to witness Richard's downfall, his complete unraveling, and now she was poised to deliver the ultimate strike. At this juncture, Richard found himself in a state of utter desperation. He had explored every avenue to save his company, yet the harm was already inflicted. Once upon a time, Lancaster Innovations faced a dramatic turn of events as its stock took a nosedive. As the remaining investors withdrew their support, the company found itself caught in a downward spiral, facing an unfolding crisis. Then, Richard found himself presented with a surprising opportunity, a tale of an investment proposal crafted by Emily Carter. As he scanned the documents, a spark of recognition ignited in his gaze, revealing the name that sent his thoughts racing. "Is that you, Emily? Are you ready to embark on a journey with me?" Yet, he found himself with no choices remaining. Without swift financial backing, he faced the imminent threat of losing it all. Setting aside his ego, Richard found himself with no other choice but to accept the invitation to the meeting. And that was the moment when everything transformed. The venue selected for the gathering was among the most opulent in New York. In that very spot, long ago, Richard had shared a dinner with Bella Devereaux, leaving Emily to weep in solitude at home. At that moment, Emily held the reins of authority. As Richard made his way in, she was already present, waiting with an air of anticipation. With poise, she held a glass of wine, ready to share her tales. Her gaze was fixed on him. She wished for him to experience every moment of this degradation. Richard made his way to the table and took a seat, facing her. For a moment, he simply gazed, lost in thought. She had transformed beyond recognition. This was not the loyal, compliant partner he had left behind. This was a shrewd and strategic figure in the world of commerce, and much more formidable than he had ever envisioned. "So, Emily," he conjured a smile, striving to keep his poise intact. "Are you interested in becoming a part of my company's journey?" She tilted her head slightly, observing him with keen interest. "No," Richard's smile faded away. "Could you clarify that? However, it was you who initiated this gathering." She savored her wine, then spoke with a serene demeanor. "I did, but not for the purpose of investing. I simply wished to witness your expression when the weight of your losses dawned on you." Richard's grip on the glass before him grew firmer. "Emily, let me share something with you. Indeed, I have erred." She chuckled, her laughter ringing like a melody in the air. A soft, almost derisive chuckle. "Absolutely not, Richard. You crafted experiences that shaped your journey. You shattered my world. You cast me aside as if I held no value, and you believed there would be no repercussions." He took a deep breath. "I have the power to revive my business." Emily interrupted him. "All that remains for you, Richard, is emptiness. Your investors fled. Your ventures have fallen apart. What about Bella Devereaux? She departed as soon as she understood your financial situation had changed." His complexion drained of color. "Could you clarify that?" She beamed with joy. "She left you, just as you left me. Isn't it amusing?" Richard remained silent. He felt the weight of the truth in his heart. With a gentle rise, Emily reached for her purse. "Let me share with you the outcome of engaging with the wrong individual. But now my tale of retribution has come to an end. Our paths have diverged, and I find myself moving forward without you." She cast her gaze upon him for the final moment. "Wishing you all the best, Richard. Prepare yourself. It's essential." As she pivoted, her footsteps echoed softly, gradually fading into the distance. Richard lingered in that familiar restaurant, a place where he had once basked in the glow of triumph, now enveloped in solitude. Once he stood tall, but now he was a shadow of his former self. Lost in despair and solitude, Emily Carter emerged victorious. But would Richard embrace his fate without resistance? In just a few short weeks, Richard Lancaster's world fell apart. What was once a mighty realm now lay in crumbling remnants, whispering tales of its glorious past. In a desperate turn of events, stripped of investors, funds, and support, he found himself compelled to part with his final possessions to settle his mounting debts. The grand mansion that had once echoed with the laughter of Emily and later the whispers of Bella Devereaux found a new owner. What about the luxury cars, sold to the highest bidder? The final pieces of his enterprise, reduced to nearly nothing. And what about Bella? She disappeared the instant she understood that Richard was unable to maintain the life she had grown accustomed to. Then arrived the ultimate strike, piercing deep like a blade to the heart. Bella Devereaux was seen in Paris sharing a fervent kiss with a young billionaire heir. Richard experienced the sharp pang of embarrassment. In that moment, he found himself with emptiness surrounding him. Silence speaks volumes. Once he had turned his back on Emily without a moment's hesitation. Now, he found himself in a humble rented apartment, sipping on inexpensive whiskey and perusing headlines that ridiculed his fall from grace. But Emily still had more to share. One last tale awaited as the curtain prepared to fall. From a distance, Emily observed the final move unfold. She understood that Richard had reached his lowest point. Yet vengeance was not solely focused on obliterating another person. It was about making sure they remained down for good. In that moment, inspiration struck her. A concluding gesture, she confided in a trusted journalist, sharing financial documents that unveiled the full extent of Richard's business missteps. As dawn broke, whispers began to circulate, igniting a fervor among the townsfolk. Unique. The tale of Richard Lancaster's downfall. Once upon a time, a former billionaire found himself on a journey that led to the unraveling of his vast fortune. The article revealed everything in vivid detail, each obligation, each missed opportunity, each daring choice. In that moment, escape seemed impossible. Richard had transformed from a mere broke man. He became the subject of many tales in the financial world. And in the heart of it all, Emily relished her triumph. But then an unexpected twist unfolded before her eyes. As the evening unfolded, Emily found herself nestled in her opulent Manhattan apartment, a glass of wine in hand, casually browsing the latest headlines. Suddenly, her phone vibrated with a notification, a tale to share. From a mysterious source. Emily, I implore you, I have a tale to share with you. It holds great significance. Once upon a time, there was a character named Richard. Her eyes widened as she gazed at the screen, taken aback. Richard sought assistance. For a brief instant, she let out a joyful laugh. The irony of the situation was rich and enticing, yet a flicker of doubt stirred within her. What was his motivation for reaching out? What was it that he desired? After a brief moment of contemplation, she responded. Once the sun rises on the morrow, familiar dining spot. If he wished to share, she would offer him that opportunity. Yet it wasn't born from a sense of sympathy. She longed to witness the anguish etched upon his features. The following day, Emily made her way to the restaurant. She stood with an elegance that captivated everyone around her. Yet upon catching sight of Richard, an unexpected feeling washed over her. He had transformed into someone entirely different, a shadow of the self-assured man who had once walked away from her all those years ago. He was shattered. His beard had a wild, untamed look to it. Shadows danced beneath his eyes, and his once impeccable clothing had lost its former elegance. He appeared as though he was teetering on the brink of breaking down. Emily settled into her seat, legs crossed, her gaze fixed on him with a thoughtful intensity. "What is it that you seek, Richard?" He inhaled deeply, as though summoning his inner resolve. "I can sense your disdain for me, Emily. I recognize that my actions were beyond redemption. However, I require assistance." With a quizzical lift of her brow, she expressed her astonishment. "Could you lend a hand? Are you looking for my assistance?" Richard cast his eyes downward. "All that remains is emptiness, Emily. Everything slipped through my fingers. The funds that belong to me. The tale of my reputation. At this moment, I'm feeling a bit lost and uncertain about my next steps." She released a sound that was more a whisper of amusement than true laughter. "Fascinating. So what is it that you envision for me to accomplish?" He gazed up at her, a world of unspoken tales reflected in his eyes. And for the first time, Emily witnessed a side of him that was entirely new to her. Authentic openness. I have no interest in wealth. I'm feeling a bit lost when it comes to beginning anew. For a moment, Emily sensed an unusual presence. It wasn't sympathy. There was a profound essence to it. For years, she had envisioned this very moment unfolding before her eyes. She had longed to witness his downfall, his despair, his pleas for mercy. As he sat there, a picture of defeat, she found herself pondering the value of her hatred for him. She leaned in, her keen gaze scrutinizing every nuance of the man standing before her. You shattered my world, Richard. You left me behind as if I held no value at all. And now you want me to erase all of that from my memory? He let out a deep breath. Absolutely not. I understand that I haven't earned that. I'm at a crossroads and unsure of my next steps. A deep hush enveloped the space between them. With a heavy heart, Emily inhaled deeply and, in a measured tone, declared, I can't forgive you, Richard, but perhaps I can share with you a tale you've yet to hear. What's the way forward? To create anew? He gazed at her, taken aback. Emily Carter had a remarkable journey filled with triumphs. For the first time, Richard Lancaster found himself open to the lessons she had to share. Emily observed Richard, seated opposite her. The man who had once shattered her existence now found himself in tatters, seeking her counsel. For years, she had longed to witness him in this way. She had envisioned this very moment where he would come to understand that his pride had ultimately brought about his own demise. Yet, in this moment of exposure, she found herself pondering, did it suffice? She lifted her wine glass, letting the liquid dance within as she prepared to share her thoughts. What is it that you seek from me, Richard? With a deep breath, he raked his fingers through his hair, a moment of reflection washing over him. I have no interest in money. Though I feel like I've exhausted all my options, I find myself yearning to discover the path to a fresh beginning. For ages, I believed I was invincible, and now I'm at a loss for what comes next. Emily crossed her arms, leaning in with an air of anticipation. What makes this matter to me? Richard looked into her eyes with genuine intent. There's no obligation, yet I felt compelled to express it. A deep hush enveloped the space between them. Despite her deep-seated animosity towards him, she could sense his emotions with uncanny clarity. Once upon a time, she found herself adrift as well. Once she thought escape was impossible, yet the distinction between them was quite straightforward. She understood the art of resurgence, and now she held the reins to determine the destiny of Richard Lancaster. She held the power to either shatter him entirely or watch him drown in his own despair. Emily Carter had transformed into someone far more complex than the innocent woman he had left behind years ago. She had a clear vision of the path ahead. With a steady breath and a piercing look, she declared, I taught you a lesson, Richard. At this point, how you choose to handle it is entirely up to you. With a determined stance, she rose, clutched her purse tightly, and cast him a final glance filled with unspoken words. I trust that you have gained some insights. As she turned and walked away, Richard was left standing there, alone in the moment. As Emily emerged from the restaurant, a stirring sensation welled up within her. After so long, she felt a sense of liberation like never before. Richard Lancaster had faded into the background. Her animosity towards him vanished. Her tale of retribution finished. She moved forward, leaving the past behind her. She emerged victorious, and above all, she had transformed her very essence. Half a year passed, and Richard Lancaster disappeared from the realm of commerce. With empty pockets, no friends, and a tarnished name, he faded into a mere whisper of the formidable figure he had once been. Whispers circulated that he had relocated to a different city, seeking to escape the glare of attention. Some thought he was still on the journey to reclaim his former glory, yet the path remained elusive. To Emily Carter, he had faded into nothingness. She envisioned what was to come. Her company flourished with each passing day, and her name emerged as a beacon for women who had vowed never to be overlooked again. And for the first time, Emily grasped the profound nature of retribution. The most remarkable triumph wasn't about defeating another, it was a testament to your resilience, showing that no one could bring you down. If you enjoyed this tale brimming with vengeance, unexpected turns, and unwavering strength, be sure to subscribe to the channel before you go. Here you'll always discover enchanting narratives that will draw you in from start to finish. I'm eager to listen to your tales. Imagine being in Emily's shoes. Would you have found it in your heart to forgive Richard? Or would you have shattered him further? I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. I'm eager to hear how you would navigate this scenario. And of course, remember to hit the like button so that more people can uncover this amazing tale. Until we meet again.